All right, welcome to Mentors Collective. I'm super excited today. Got some friends of mine from the local Tampa Bay area, some digital marketing experts, Christian and Amel from GenTech Marketing. And like myself, these guys are experts in lead generation. So I'm pumped to dive into it with you guys on some agency hacks, on some lead generation. Hopefully we can get real tactical, give the audience some specific strategies to come away with so they can take their own marketing efforts to the next level and scale their businesses the way that we've been so fortunate to have done.
100%.
So welcome, guys. Christian and Amel, would love a quick introduction from the two of you.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
It's a blast. It's a pleasure.
So we're actually based in Tampa, Florida. We've been around since 2016, but I want to say that we were reborn in 2020 when me and Christian merged businesses. And ever since then, just a quick summary, like we've been scaling like crazy. So I'm excited for the following years on our end.
Same here.
Yeah. Originally, I had like my own agency before. And then, when COVID first hit, what is the first thing everybody cut out? Is their marketing.
Yep.
So I was thinking at the time, like, I need to meet people within my space. So I just went on Instagram, #TampaBusiness. I was like, I claim I'm a social media marketer. Let me use social media to grow my business, And then I found Amel, and then we connected, and that's when we merged. And that was the rebirth, if you will, of GenTech.
Cool. It sounds like the partnership's been successful. You guys have grown since merging. That's not always the case. So props and congrats to the two of you.
Thank you.
Before we dive into some strategies, I'd love to kind of talk a little bit about the partnership. Have you guys ever read the book Rocket Fuel?
I have it.
Highly recommend. It's about kind of the two people that are necessary to grow and scale a company.
I think I've heard
It's
about
maximum potential, involving usually a visionary and an integrator.
it.
So I'm wondering what the dynamic is between the two of you. I mean, who's got the responsibilities? What are they? Do you guys kind of complement each other well?
It's funny because I feel like we're both like equally like kind of like in that journey because like we both have visions and we both implement, right? It's not like one like comes with the visions and the other one's just executing. I feel like we're consistently both involving both parts. So it's hard for me to say which one's who. Maybe we could figure it out. I don't know.
So in one of the masterminds that we went to, one of our mentors was doing like a little keynote speech. And what he said, actually, this is a straight golden nugget. This is a straight reel right here. But he explained that business owners, especially partners, there's a clean fish and a muddy fish. And what that means is the clean fish swims slowly because it likes the water to be clean. You know what I mean? It sees everything. If it's not in danger, it's fine. You can swim slowly. And then a muddy fish doesn't see anything. So it swims so fast, but swims in the wrong places and ends up bumping into people. And in order to grow, you need to be a muddy fish because you need to make connections and move fast. And in order to scale, you need to be a clean fish and have that vision. And I feel like in our situation, I'm the muddy fish. I'm always hustle, do all this. And then Amel's the clean fish. He likes structure. And honestly, like without his structure, I'll probably be in the wall. You know what I mean? Muddy fish all the way. So I feel like it's a good mix of both for sure.
No, that's great. And I guess the important thing there is there's different ways to complement each other. It's not necessarily that one person has the vision and one person doesn't,
Right.
but you bring different things to the table. Scott and I are kind of the same way. I guess if I were to use your muddy fish analogy, which I've never heard before, thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
I'd probably be the muddy fish.
There you go, man. Give me that right here.
Muddy fishes. Anyways.
Oh, we have the same outfit over here today as well.
Yeah, I don't know if you're watching this on video. Some people are listening, but every single one of that's not true. Just me and Christian here. White shirts, black pants, and Balenciaga sneakers.
That's how it goes.
So funny. And this loser over here is wearing shorts to the podcast. Just kidding.
Which I usually don't ever wear shorts. And it is what it is today.
Just messing around. Anyways, let's talk some turkey. Let's give some strategy and advice here. Lead generation has been, I think, one of our keys to success. Once we figured that out, we were able to scale, we were able to hire, and a lot of companies struggle with generating high quality, qualified leads for their company. And there's a lot of different approaches to get those leads. There's paid ads, there's lead forms on various platforms, there's search, there's social, there's cold email. It's basically limitless. There's organic social. And a lot of companies will promise the golden ticket.
Of course.
That I have the solution that's going to solve your problem. And I guess the truth is there really isn't like a one size fits all. And us as marketers, us as entrepreneurs, we get starry-eyed. We see someone successful with one specific marketing strategy and we want it. We need it. We need to go to give up some attention for what's working and go try that and make that work. So what has your experience been in lead generation from going from zero to one of the top marketing agencies in Tampa? What's been your bread and butter?
No, and I think what you said just like hits the nail on the head. because myself as well, I have like shiny object syndrome, and
Yeah.
when I stopped having that is what allowed us to scale.
Yes.
You know, so a lot of people say, well, I'm a paid ads agency, I don't need to focus on SEO. I believe that's incorrect. I believe our ranking on Google has driven a lot of business. You know what I mean? Especially even local ranking. Forget national ranking, which is another conversation of its own. And I think that when you do figure out the paid ads, like that key is huge because the paid ads is scalable. SEO, you can get it good, of course, and it can help your business, but you can't add nine figures to your business because of SEO. But I think it's doable through ads. And I think that the biggest problem with paid ads is that people don't realize that you may lose on day one, and they're so scared to be in the red on day one, especially the agencies. They're like, I charge 2 grand a month or 3 grand a month or 5 grand a month. They're not willing to spend the same dollar amount to acquire that customer, which doesn't make sense to me because that customer is going to be a subscription. It's going to renew. So having the confidence to actually take that loss on day one because you're confident that your team is going to deliver good results and keep that client on for longer, that's the key. There isn't really a secret sauce. Acquiring a business owner is the most expensive client on social media. The average Facebook user makes $44,000 a year. They can't afford our services or yours.
Right.
So to acquire that customer, you need to have the data, and to acquire the data, you need to go in the red. And in order to go in the red, you need to be good at sales and good at delivery to come out in the green. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a mix of all.
Couldn't agree with you more. Before I leave my comments, Amel, what's been your experience with lead generation?
I mean, ultimately speaking, with all our failed businesses, we realized that lead gen was the biggest reason that they failed. Like before GenTech, we all had multiple businesses. So we really endowed ourselves into learning how to develop a system that worked. And we've tried probably millions of funnels.
Mm-hmm.
We see a funnel that someone else is saying, hey, I made $1 million off of it. I got a 2 comma club. All right, let's replicate that. We see another one. Let's replicate that.
Yeah.
And they all failed and it failed and it failed. And then we're like, listen, stick to one, just let it go, improve it by 1%, make it yours, make it work, and it is what it is. And I think over time, looking at your funnel, looking at like our funnel, looking at disruptive advertising, for example, they're one of our competitors as well. They all have super simple funnels. And I'm like, how are they worth millions, right?
Right.
Tens of millions and hundreds of millions. I'm like, I think over time with the awareness, with the ads manager learning on who the target audience is, over time with the data, understand your LTV, understanding that you can go into like the red to, acquire the client. I think after we realize that and just let it be, I think that's when we truly scaled. Because if you launch and you start a new one, you're always starting from zero,
Mm-hmm.
with every new funnel. But we're like, hey, let's not start from zero. Let's just keep on improving ours by 1%. And sooner or later, it'll just kick in.
Right. And there's so many reasons I think that companies will either turn their ads off, give up on them, say that Facebook ads don't work or this funnel doesn't work right away. And they're for all of those reasons that you mentioned, right? Their pixel's not trained. They copied a landing page from someone expecting it to work, and they're not seeing results for the first 2 weeks. So they say, screw it. It's the funnel. It's just not going to work. Facebook ads aren't right for me. So what do you guys think the main reasons are for new business owners, new agencies to give up on their paid social advertising? We'll start with paid social.
I think the first issue that a lot of people have is if they're working with an agency, it's not having clear expectations. Because the things that we work with a lot of business owners, they'll come to us and say, hey, I've tried marketing, I've been burnt.
Yeah.
Why? Because someone overpromised, right? They said, hey, come work with me. I have a funnel that works. You guys are going to crush it. We'll get you a 10, 20x return on your dollar. And it doesn't happen. And it's not supposed to happen. It's a process. So I think with us, it's just having clear expectations of understanding like, hey, our initial program is 3 months. If you aren't willing to dedicate at least the 3 months, it's not going to work. Right. So the 3 months allows us for the first month to set it up. The second month, start generating revenue. The third month to scale. And we just develop a system that we just plug and play. Like we don't change anything. Our scalable revenue ecosystem has about 7 steps that we just plug and play. So we try not to adjust the process as much. And I feel like that's why it's been winning. Keep it simple, find a system that works, and just replicate that as much as you can.
Yeah, you said something so impactful there that I think a lot of people need to hear, and that's what to expect when working with a digital marketing agency. I mean, have either of you tried to hire a digital marketing agency in the past?
We've hired coaches.
Really?
And same thing. They would tell us, hey, try social media shout-outs.
Yeah.
You guys will get a 15, something even said 40x return. We got 0x return. and we spent 50, 60K with them,
Yeah.
right? And I think as if they were able to just be honest with us and say, hey, listen, like this is what you should expect. Maybe you have to spend 50K until you start generating revenue. Okay, but after I spent 50K and you told me I was gonna make my money back, I'm not gonna continue with you because obviously you don't even know what works. So that was like our experience with hiring coaches.
Yeah. What do you guys think the miss on expectations is when working with a digital marketing agency? So I've been burned by several, before going off and starting my own. And I think the secret for us getting it right was being hyper specialized and being selective with who we work with and what we tell them that we can accomplish for them.
Of course.
I think the biggest problem with digital marketing agencies now is they try and do everything and promise that it's going to work and bring in sales. And it's so nuanced, selling something. There's so many steps that have to be aligned and you have to get right before that sale is actually made. So where do you think the miss is when you're hiring a digital marketing agency and wanting to work with one?
So that's the thing is, I believe that marketing agencies, first of all, they're sales agencies most of the time. All they're trying to do is sell, 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 overpromise, sell, 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 right? And that's why the churn in the marketing agency space is so high. Like the average client stays on 3 months or something like that, which is super low. You're building a subscription-based business. In order for you to actually scale, the only way to do that is to retain your subscriptions. It's not a volume play. You're not gonna have 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 clients as a marketing company. You know what I mean? So when you are working with lower subscriptions, one client lost is a big hit on the grand total. So in order to maintain that client, the communication is huge. That's why, like, when I'm onboarding a client or one of our team members is onboarding a client, the first thing we do is we need to streamline communication. You can call us, email us, SMS, you can send us a handwritten letter if you want, but the best thing to do is to keep everything within one chat. Obviously, there's softwares like Slack and Discord and stuff like that, but I believe the sale itself dictates whether that client is going to stay on for long term or short term based on the promises. Because that's the thing is, if you build a case study and a proven system, it's easy to give an offer that is predictable if you're actually going to deliver on that. If you've done it more than once, sure, make your promises. But if you're a new marketing agency promising the world, these clients are gonna leave you. They're gonna probably charge back. They're gonna probably leave bad reviews. And at the end of the day, it's not worth it, because taking the chance of getting a client that may or may not be successful. I mean, we don't even accept clients if we don't know for a fact that they're gonna be successful, because our PR, is so important to us, and it's worth a lot more than whatever that client was gonna pay.
Right. Is there any red flags that you can advise customers when looking for an agency to look for to identify that this might not be a good fit? I might not be happy with this, because I've talked to several people and been a victim myself where I signed up for a long-term contract where you can't just leave. So what are some red flags you can look for when finding a good agency?
I mean, I would say you probably said the first one is a long-term contract.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I mean, they come to us, we say, we work on a month-to-month basis because we want to earn your business every month.
Right.
Now, if you do want to sign a longer-term contract, we can, but you just can't do that today. We don't know how you operate. You don't know how we operate. Unless we have a proper business structure, then we wouldn't sign a long-term contract with someone. I would say that's red flag number one. Red flag number two is if they're not active on social media and if they're not doing what they preach. If you go to a paid ads agency and they're not running paid ads, guess what? They don't know what they're talking about. Red flag. And I would say probably the last thing is that if you can't talk to more than one team member, if everything is being managed by a single person, a solopreneur claiming they're an agency, they're just a freelancer.
Yeah. Oh, those are great tips. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys specialize in the paid ads. Is that correct?
Correct. So we did build an ecosystem in order for our ads to be as effective as possible.
Great.
But the reason we built the ecosystem in the first place is for the paid ads. That's our bread and butter.
And you've got a formula where you can pretty predictably say that paid ads are going to work for you if we do X, Y, and Z.
Correct.
Walk me through that formula. What can people do to guarantee success when running paid ads?
For sure. So we believe in an omnipresent approach, right? Like being everywhere all the time and having it be cohesive. You know what I mean? Like your colors on Instagram are not different than your colors on TikTok or YouTube or whatever, right? I believe that when you have like the CRM be the heart of the business and the funnel being the organic and the paid, and then the email and SMS sequences happening on the back end, and all nurturing and educating and entertaining as well. That's when things really do work, because a lot of people just generate very low quality leads and wonder why they can't sort through all this stuff. First, it becomes a lot of logistical stuff like, oh, I got to hire so many people to deal with these leads.
Right.
And I think that the best thing to do is to call out your audience in the ad. Like the first 3 seconds of the ad, say business owners or say tech founders or something like that, versus just if you want to make more money, click on my ad. Like I just don't get that, because you're gonna get a ton of people. Like I said, the average user makes $44,000 a year, so you have to speak to your audience so they click on your ad.
Right.
Because the average person is going to see your ad and click on it just because they think they want to make more money, when this is not the person you're talking to.
That's a great tip. Call out your audience in your ad. We've taken that advice for ourselves, and it works really well. How about you, Amel? Any hacks that you think lead to a customer's success running paid ads?
I mean, what we noticed is before we built our system, we noticed that we would run paid ads, and then one client would do super well and the other one didn't. And then we realized that the one that does super well has a system in place. So I think overall, if you're running paid ads and it's not working, you're probably in the same boat as the other guy that didn't have the systems. So ultimately speaking, I don't even like running our paid ads unless they agree to our scalable revenue ecosystem, because there's a lot of possible leaking parts in the sales process, from the copywriting to the offer to the unique mechanism to the ad to the VSL to the funnel to the CRM to the email sequence to the SMS sequence to the calendly booked to the salesperson hopping on that. Like, so there's so many more steps of us running ads to them closing their client.
Yes.
And some people think, okay, let me just launch the ads. It should solve everything. It's just probably 10% of it. Right. It's the most important part because you got to feed the machine. But my thing is, have a system in place that does not allow for human error.
Yes.
Because with salespeople, they don't like following up. They're not going to nurture their leads. So have these things that pre-filter bad leads and nurture the leads so that when you do hop on a call, 50% are qualified. And that's typically what we see. At least 50% of our calls are actually qualified. And then your salespeople don't lose motive because they're hopping on meetings, and 6 meetings out of today were low quality or they didn't show up, and then you just lose momentum.
I'm glad that you mentioned like 12 things just now that need to work in order for the sale to happen.
Yep.
Most marketers think if you throw money at paid ads, sales will come. And the reason that you just mentioned is why that's not true. And I think that's where it takes a qualified agency or a really good marketer to figure out which piece of that puzzle is broken, or to be able to replicate that puzzle as many times over consistently as possible to make it work.
I mean, we even have clients. I have a guy that I'm speaking with right now. He has all the pieces, but it's not coherent. Yeah. Because he didn't work with one company that has the same branding and messaging across. Because you might have someone that's running your paid ads. You might hire some web developer for the ClickFunnels. Then you maybe hire like some random salesperson. It's just not coherent. And like I feel like if the message falls off at any moment, the lead falls off.
Yes.
So that's why we prefer just building our system, because we already have it. Let us just like implement it versus trying to fix the system that you might like kind of have like in place right now.
Now, what does the system involve? You don't have to tell me your trade secrets or anything, but like, is it a specific funnel layout, a specific follow-up sequence, a specific calendar? Like, what are you doing for clients that's going to generate their success? And a big part of this is data, right? Like, you can have all 10 of these steps, but if you're not tracking it correctly, it's really hard to see which part isn't working. Like, you might have a great opt-in rate on your funnel, and then no one's booking a call, or lots of people are booking a call and no one's buying anything. And if you're not tracking those things, it's really hard to, figure out what you need to fix.
I like that you mentioned data, because business owners are always trying to figure out what to fix, but just look at the data, see where the drop off is and fix that. Another client I was speaking with today, she wants to launch a whole new program. I'm like, is the data telling you to launch a new program? Because typically, if you feel like there aren't enough clients, which is in her shoes the issue right now, she thinks that she has to launch something else.
Right.
But it's like, do you even have enough booked appointments to see if people want this? And if you do have enough booked appointments, but they're not, signing up for that program, then maybe you need another program. But the benefit of like just having like a marketing company or a PR company is that you work with so many different companies that you can like call out what issues someone potentially is facing at their current business stage that you already have the solution to. So with us, it's like some business might have an idea or they might have an obstacle, We already seen that. And the benefit of working with us is that we can overcome that a lot faster versus you trying to figure it out.
So how much of this process is actually replicable? That was the question. Like, what can you do to assure that success in a client? To copy and paste the entire process, the entire puzzle to a client and ensure their success.
If we're doing it, we even have like an ROI guarantee.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like, because in a lot of our YouTube videos, we break down these steps, even the 12 steps that I laid out. That's pretty much the process.
Right.
But I feel like the biggest part of the success is the psychology.
Mhm.
So I love psychology. Christian loves psychology. I mean, he went down the medical school route as well. Like, that's what we study in. But I think over time in business, you have to learn psychology. So if you're able to call out the audience and really understand the pain points and understand the offer, that's going to sell no matter what. And then you have these systems that consistently reiterate the pain point. Because no matter what, if I see an ad that's saying, hey, marketing company, do you want to double your revenue with a program that's guaranteed to double your revenue or your money back, I'll sign up, right? Because no matter how big you are, you're always looking to double your revenue. And as a marketing company, it spoke to me. So I'm like, okay, let me see what this program is about. So it's not that complicated. It's just being able to call out the audience versus saying, hey, do you want to make more money? Or learn about my program. It's like, why, you know?
Yeah, and a big part of what you said there that I think is key is the offer. Being able to do a risk reversal or guarantee whoever's clicking on that ad that they're going to be able to get out of it. If the company's not able to do it, they claim that they can do.
Of course.
And that's such a powerful thing for cold offers. So if you're running a top of funnel ad or sending a cold email, having some kind of risk reversal there, I think is transformative in that offer.
Yeah.
I agree.
A lot of these businesses, they truly don't focus much on like the little aspects. Like, I'm a huge believer that the offer is huge, you know? I was talking to one of the clients that we consult for, and he was like, well, why is this ad is not working? I was like, read the copy.
Yeah.
And I was like, would you buy? And he was like, maybe. And I was like, would you buy if the ad said, buy this Lamborghini today for $5,000? And he was like, yeah. I was like, you don't even know what kind of Lambo it is, right? I was like, however, let's flip the switch. Would you buy an Apple for $50? And he was like, no. I was like, you see, like, the deliverable, you may not be looking for it particularly, but if the offer is too good, you're going to opt in.
Yeah.
And you may not be ready to like buy right now, but you're going to be ready someday. So
He's chilling.
he's going crazy.
For those watching,
But-
my doggy Moses here is cleaning himself between
Yeah.
us. That's funny.
But if you have that person within your CRM, at least you'll have the opportunity to follow up with them. And if your offer is terrible, then people are just going to scroll by.
How do you feel about, I don't want to call it bait and switch marketing because it's not, but really beefing up your offer stacking and coming up with something that's so enticing that you have to click, you have to opt in, and then you give context on the landing page.
Right. I mean, I have nothing against it. You know, I don't personally, it's not my style. I like to be true to our words because I believe that that goes long term. You know what I mean? Like, especially you guys, like, you know a lot more about this than I do. In PR, when you say something, you better stand by your word. You know, that's all you have. So if you're able to give a good offer and actually deliver on that good offer, that's going to prompt people to talk about your business versus say, oh, I opted in because of this good offer and they didn't end up giving that to me. That's bad PR. So I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. And I guess it's finding a balance, right? You need the offer to get the clicks, to get the opt-ins, but you also need to deliver on the offer, which can be hard for a lot of new companies to be competitive and to come up with something that people really want. And why go with a new company when there's a more established company who's been doing it longer for better with better case studies? So with that being said, like, what kind of strategies can a newer company use to get sales, to generate clicks and opt-ins, to stand out in a sea of other digital marketing agencies? Like, what did you guys do when you were starting, and what could you advise newer companies to do?
So there's multiple stages in a business. Like, there's a growth phase and then there's a scaling phase. When you're starting off, you're probably going to do everything that we're not doing right now because you don't have our SEO ranking, you don't have our case studies, you don't have anything. You don't have the budget to dump, 6 figures into like Facebook ads every like year,
Right.
So what we did is everyone has connections and everyone knows people. And the biggest, like the easiest way to scale is find a client that trusts you work with them. Make sure you do everything possible to make sure they succeed, even if it's outside your scope, just so you have a case study, because that case study, wherever you take it, people will believe in the numbers, right?
Yeah.
So try to find that one client that will give you the trust, get the results, get a case study, and approach everyone else in that industry. And then you scale within an industry, and then you can tap into like another industry and so forth.
Yeah, that's
It's
great
the
advice.
it's the cheapest way to grow unless you have a lot of capital.
Great advice. I'd say the same thing. It's a race to get as many awesome case studies as you can, and then the business will come.
Agreed.
How about you, Christian? Any advice?
Yeah, I would say that at the beginning, this may sound messed up, but business owners are soft. Seriously, like they want to build it and expect people to come.
The
Like
bad ones are.
yeah, the world doesn't owe you anything. I think that when you start a business, it's go time. Now it's time for you to work twice as hard as the people bigger than you because you got to make up that gap. You got to make up that room.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how like how we started. You know,
Mhm.
like I would text Amel screenshots at 2 a.m. at the office. You know, just building a new funnel or whatever it may be.
Oh yeah.
And the problem is that most people are just not willing to do that. They're not willing to fall off the face of the earth for 24 months, build something amazing, and emerge back. They just want everything. You know, they want the cake and they want to eat it too, or whatever that saying is. You know what I mean? Like they they just want the good clients. They want them to show up at their door. They don't want to try in ads. They don't want to do SEO. They don't want to invest in PR. They don't want to film content, and they want to build a 7, 8, 9 figure company because they're entrepreneur.
Yeah.
That's the easiest. You can be an entrepreneur by doing whatever.
Yeah, freelancer. I mean, you're all an entrepreneur. And
Exactly.
I like that you said 24 months because it really does take
Yeah.
somewhere between 12 and 24 months to reach escape velocity
Mhm.
of working in a hole, in a cave,
Mhm.
grinding way harder than I'm currently grinding right now to
Right.
build something and build a team around you
Mhm.
that's going to grow on its own.
100%.
Yeah, when you're starting, it's nose to the floor and you got to outwork everybody.
I mean, like there would be there was months over months that I didn't even talk to my best friends. You know, just
Yeah.
because I was so focused on hustling and hustling and hustling. But for me, that was the biggest thing. Is like I want to achieve this because I owe it to my family. You know, like us, we're foreign. And when we come here from overseas, like you feel like you have to deliver. And as I was saying, I was previously in the pre-med track. Like I finished my bachelor's as a biomedical science major, and I wanted to be a doctor. And when I told my family, like, listen, like this is it. Like I want to do marketing. They were like, marketing? You know, like we don't have anybody doing marketing in our family, and you know how foreign parents are. So I was like, nah, you have to trust me. Like, this is the vision. This is it. And I'm going to execute. And for me, it was more about them as well as myself. And it was bigger than just I want money because I don't really care about that. You know, it was more so I want to reach a level of freedom so that not just for myself, but for everybody around me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like for example, my girlfriend's in medical school right now. I don't want her to have any debt. You know, like my brother, I don't want him to have to worry about a job. You know, like my dad, I want to retire him. My mom, I want to retire her. You know, so it's all about these things that money can buy, but not particularly about the materialistic things, even though those are cool, right? And that's the thing is people go in for making money so that they can buy the watch or the car or the whatever.
Right.
And once you don't get that in 90 days, you start getting stressed and you're like, I don't want this. This is too much work. I'm not getting anything. But when
Yeah.
the vision's bigger and you're willing to invest, not even 24 months, but your whole life to it, that's when you can't lose. You only lose when you give up.
Yeah, and it's typically, I'd say, I'm glad you said what you said. I think it's typically the entrepreneur types who buy the watches, buy the Lamborghini,
Mm-hmm.
and don't actually build the company that's
Mhm.
going to run without them, that's going to sustain itself
Mm-hmm.
without you working 12 hours a day and
Mhm.
taking sales calls. Like by the time I was making enough money to buy a Rolex, I didn't want the Rolex. I wanted to invest it all back into the company
Mm-hmm.
to grow, my baby. This is my baby. So those are all really important points. And to add to what you said about the medical school thing, you did the right thing
Mm-hmm.
by
There you
making that decision when you did. I think the best time to pull out
go. Mm-hmm.
is pre-med. The
Mhm.
second best time is as soon as you realize you don't want to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
There's
mean, what about you? How was that for you? Honestly, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Sure. I talk
Yeah.
about it all the time. Happy to share.
I mean, like because you finished medical school, correct?
I finished medical school. I did a year of training as a family medicine resident.
That must have been hard for you to go through all that and then do a complete 180 and focus on a different path? Like, how was that experience?
It wasn't a 180 when I did it. I started a marketing agency while I was in medical school, servicing doctors, clinics, and some hospitals. So by the time that I actually made the decision to leave, I already had kind of a fully functioning business.
Makes sense.
But I come from a Jewish family. They've been telling me since I was a baby to go be a plastic surgeon. They were so proud when I got into medical school and so upset and confused when I left residency training.
Yeah.
And to be expected, right? I got all the debt. I still have it. There's interesting programs where I'm paying it off very slowly. But you're right. The lifestyle, medicine's not what you sign up for, at least not what you think you're signing up for. And I'm a builder. I'm not a learner. Even when I was in medical school and I was in training, all I wanted to do was build things. I didn't like learning and regurgitating. So if you're in any professional school, whether that be accounting, legal school, medical school, engineering school, there's so many examples of this. And it's from pressure from your family and friends.
Of course.
And you've seen what the other side of that schooling looks like, and you don't think it's for you. The best time to pull out is before you start. Second best time is as soon as you know, because the deeper you get, it's just more time I could have been building my business, more money I could have invested into the company. So a lot of people just need to nut up, face their family, face their friends, and pull the plug.
I mean, for me, I'm a big believer that success leaves clues.
Yeah.
And I feel like right before I graduated, the business started to take off at a much higher rate. And I was like, this is it. You know what I mean? Like before I was on the edge, like, should I go to school? Should I do marketing? Because I initially started my marketing company to fund going to medical school.
Interesting.
And that was the original marketing company prior to GenTech. But I mean, after all that went down, I felt like the energy of the world was telling me, focus on this. You're going to help a lot of people. You're going to do amazing things. So that's why I decided down that path.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to finish with a couple kind of rapid fire questions that might be of value to the listeners here.
Let's run it.
For listeners that either have a marketing agency or are interested in starting some, what are 3 tips that you can give them to fast track their success as marketing agency owners?
Shake as many hands as you can, work late, and obviously that's generic, but really just put in all the effort that you can and really take the time to learn the skill. The more you can be knowledgeable in your space, the less likely someone else can take over your clients.
Yes.
So those are my 3.
How about you, Christian? What are your 3?
People lie, numbers don't. Testimonials are going to speak for themselves. If they said you're a good marketing company, it's different than if they said that you made them 100K. I would say always over deliver. People look at a list of objectives as deliverables, like I need to do X, Y, Z as the maximum. I look at it as the minimum. I would say that would be another thing. And number 3, choose 10% of a watermelon instead of 100% of a cherry. A lot of times you have to give equity into your business or your life in order to reach a bigger goal. My previous marketing company was tiny compared to what we have now, and before I owned 100% of it, right? So I don't think owning the biggest chunk of the business is the way to go. I think partnering with the right people is the way to go.
What are the 3 most important aspects to a successful paid social advertising campaign?
I mean, just from the beginning, it's the offer, the unique mechanism, and I would say having like a very strong testimonial within the copy or video or whatever you have. And when I say unique mechanism, a lot of people don't know what that is.
Yeah, explain that.
But everyone runs Facebook, guys. There's 100 marketing companies, but the scalable revenue ecosystem is something that's proprietary to us. No one else can offer that. Sure, they can replicate it, but when we pitch the SRE, it is what it is. So if you want to grow your business with the SRE, we're the solution. If you want to run paid ads, that's everyone else, right? So find something that makes you different from all your other competitors.
Cool. Christian, anything to add?
I would just, again, like my 3, probably like offer, creative, and copy.
Yep.
When you mix those 3 and you keep doing the 1% improvement, as Amel said, can't go wrong. You know, if you keep improving, eventually at some percentile, it will make sense.
Cool. And last question, guys. What are 3 books that have changed your life as a business owner and as a marketer?
I would say for me, it's $100 Million Offers, obviously very popular book by Alex Hormozi. There's the 48 Laws of Power and the 10 Pillars of Wealth.
Very good. Haven't heard the third one. I'll check that out.
So 10 Pillars of Wealth is one of my top books as well. And then I forget the number, 72 Ways on How to Talk to Anyone, 82 Ways, something like that. And then the OG book that just got me into like everything is on how to win friends and influence people.
Yeah, great book.
I think it was like the initial book where I was like, holy shit, you can do that? Like you can influence people. And then after that, it was just like a snowball effect.
All right, good list. I'm going to have to check out that 10 Pillars book.
He actually gave me mine.
Cool. I like audiobooks. I'm going to check that out. You excited for Alex Hormozi's lead generation book?
Yeah, if it's anywhere near as valuable as this one,
Right.
It's gonna be a good secondary podcast discussion.
I think so. We'll bring it back in for
Yeah.
when that book comes out and go over
Yeah.
some stuff. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming. This is Mentors Collective. We've got Christian and Amel. Where's the best place to connect with you guys personally and also your business?
Absolutely. So I would say personally, my Instagram's @ChristianJamal. That's the easiest way to reach me. I'm pretty active on there. I don't do any of the postings, but I do all the DMs. So if you DM me and I reach back out, that's me. And then the company, obviously, @GenTech Marketing.
Sweet.
And for me, it's Amel Kilic on IG. And then if you want to just reach out to the company, I'd just say go on our website, www.gentechmarketing.com.
All right, gang. Awesome episode.